What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, my guest is returning, referee Nick. I'm excited to have Nick back on. It's always good having a catch up with Nick, always great conversation. And I'm really looking forward to this night's episode, this night's podcast. And you guys are in for a treat. But before we get into that, let's take a quick second to thank our sponsor for this episode. And you know, I've got to talk about healthvape.com. Now, Health Vape is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products, no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. So go and check out healthvape.com. Check out all their vape and pod products. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. I thank you everyone for tuning in live or whoever's listening on a podcast platform. It's great to have you on board listening. If you, oh my God, I'm tying my words. What a day. But if you're tuning into us on YouTube, please make sure you click that subscribe button, like, share, comment, all that good shit. Tap that red button and tap in. Let's go. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. I appreciate it. It helps us with the analytics. It helps us bring more amazing conversations to more amazing people like yourselves. So go and do it. And guys, I appreciate it. We'll see. We're going to get into my conversation with referee Nick right now, and I'm going to try and not slur my words anymore. Nick, what's up? Thanks for coming back on the show, brother.
No worries. Anytime. I'm glad to be here.
Man, it's exciting to have you on, man. And, you know, a lot's been happening, you know, with you and your crew at PWA, you know, the LFG tour has been going strong. And each show has just been like knocking it out of the park like ridiculous.
Yeah.
How has the tour been going?
So, unfortunately, I haven't been able to go on the interstate one, so to Brisbane or Melbourne, but talking with the crew and whatnot, everybody has been saying it's just been amazing. You know, the tour up in Brisbane, it was just seeing a lot of new fans as well, seeing a lot of the people in Melbourne come to see PWA for the first time and truly understand what PWA is. And then I got to go down to Wollongong and do the event down there, and that was really good for me. Just to see, you know, the environment that everybody was in with the tour and whatnot. And now coming up to this Friday with PWA, Let's Effing Go at the Roundhouse. It's, you know, we're feeling like this is going to be the big show. Like, this is PWA's biggest show that we've ever run ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, the Roundhouse is a massive venue. Like,
oh yeah,
it fits like over 1,000 people. I think.
Yeah, so in like a concert setup, yeah. But then we've got the ring in the center, so but like we're expecting quite a lot of people there, and with the amount, like just seeing what's on the card so far is so big. Like we've got Shingo Takagi coming down. We've got a cage match in the main event for the unification of the PWA Heavyweight Championships. We've got a title for title match for the PWA and the ACSA. With the ASCA tag team titles over in Italy. Like, it's a massive show for us, and I'm so happy that I get to be a part of that.
Yeah, nice, man. And like, this is gonna be like your final show as
Yeah,
refereeing, man. And
yeah,
you've been in the game for a long, long time.
yeah.
Um, what has led what has led to this decision for you to sort of be walking away at this stage?
Yeah. So just for reference, I have been refereeing since September 3rd, 2016. I've been doing this for just over 6 years now, and I pretty much my sole job throughout that 6 years was being a referee. Uh, and coming up, it was really just thinking about it this year. It was more uh it was actually around the Rumble. I was quite down. I was kind of just feeling like, is this something that I still want to do? There was a lot of, I was kind of feeling low on myself. So I just kind of went, you know what? Let's get through the Rumble and then let's see how I feel. And over time, it was about June or July that I finally decided. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to step back from this and kind of take a gamble on myself and just go, you know what? Outside of being a referee, is there something for me? And there's no real option for me at this point. Like there's no spot for me in any way. Like I know I'm not going to be a wrestler anytime soon. Look, I've still got this gut here, so got to work on that
Same here,
first.
man. Same here.
But for me, it's about taking a gamble on myself and saying, you know what, I wanna go and push for that. And especially now, like I was saying, like throughout, like just a lead up to the Rumble, I was feeling quite low. But since then, I like genuinely, I feel probably the best I have since I was in high school.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a huge achievement. So it's not only just that, and with the feeling of that as well, you would think that I would go back on that and go, you know what, maybe I don't want to retire. But to me, I went, no, I'm sticking to this. This is what I want to do. And I
Yeah.
know that in my emotional state, which is, as I said, the best I've been in forever, deciding that I do want to step away, that makes me believe that this is the right choice for me at this point in time.
For sure. Like you said, you were feeling low. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what was the main feeling that got you down into that point? Like, was it the fact that
Yeah.
you were thinking, okay, like, where else is there for me here? There
Mm.
isn't. There's refereeing.
Yeah.
Was that sort of thing? We're saying, look, I expected more out of myself from this, or like, what was that sort of feeling like
Yeah,
going?
like I think there's a plateau that you are going to get to with any part in wrestling or any career. I think that level, that when you hit that, your ceiling is quite low as a referee compared to a wrestler. So, if let's just say you start training tomorrow,
Yeah,
uh your goals start out as, I want to get to the next class and next level and move up. And then it's like, oh, I want to start getting on shows and start wrestling. And then, I want to start moving up. I want to start doing this. Maybe I want a main event. Maybe I want to win a title. Maybe I want to get booked in a state, in a national. I want to do a tour somewhere. I want to get signed. With a referee, it's, oh, I'm on the show. Okay, cool. Now I'm, doing more regular things. I'm doing main events. Oh, cool. I'm the senior official. And then the next step after that is getting signed, because no one's like, you know, the normal like promotion is not going to fly in a referee. They're not going to be like, we have to get in referee Nick. We have to fly him in from Sydney to Adelaide because we have to have him on the show. I'm not going to get booked like that, like someone like a Robbie Eagles would, or like, a Julian Ward would when he came over here to PWA.
yeah,
That's just not, I accepted that very early on, that I knew that that's the role I've jumped into. That's what it is. So I just went, I can keep sticking it out and I can keep going years and years and being comfortable with where I am. Or as I said before, I can take a gamble on myself. I can go, you know what? I think there's more for me here. So that's what I decided to do. And I went, nah, this is the goal. This is what I want to do with this.
yeah,
Because how many years can I just keep doing the same thing over and over, hoping that Triple H or Tony Khan or Scott Demore or any of these people are gonna hit me up and be like, "Hey, do you want to get signed?" Am I going to wait the 2 years, 5 years, 10 years for that, or do I want to try something else and see if that's going to work?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, like, to always wanna grow and sort of, progress in anything that you
Mm,
do. I think, like, becoming stagnant, and I think, that can lead to massive amounts of depression. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like just stagnity in life or whatever it is that you're doing
yeah.
can really sort of, like, dwell on people massively.
Mm. And I like 100%. I agree with that. It's just there's only so many times that you can go to a show and it's just I'm on autopilot. And I told a couple people that like the last I would say probably anywhere between that Rumble show to maybe end of August, any of the shows that you saw me on, I was 100% just being like, I know what I'm doing now. I'm just kind of running through it in my mind. It just kind of is what it is. And I would truly say I wasn't putting in the effort I was for the longest time that I
Yeah.
have for the previous 5 years that I've been doing it. And once I kind of came to that decision and kind of accepted it myself, that's when I was like, you know what? I got a couple more shows left. Let's have some fucking fun.
Were people surprised, like, when you said you were willing to step away?
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of people had no understanding, had no, like, because it wasn't something that I like was talking about for a while. I always kind of joked about it. Like if you ask any of the PWA guys, I was always like, you know what, this is my last show. This is it. After this match, heading out. I always made the joke that the only thing that would ever take me out of wrestling, the only thing that would get me to retire, was if one of the wrestlers decided to shit themselves in the middle of the match. I would just immediately be like, you know what? That's the peak of wrestling. I'm going home. Like there's
Someone
no more than
shooting
that.
himself. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
you get
because
any. Yeah, I don't think
yeah,
you get
like
to a high point.
you can't like immediately I'd be like, you know what? No, I'm done. Unfortunately, that never happened, so I've had to choose my retirement this time.
Jeez, man. But like I've always enjoyed your work, like because
Yeah.
I think
Well,
in
thank
a
you.
lot of ways, like you see a lot of I think some refs go out of their way to
Mm,
almost become part of the act. Where I think like
mm,
your reaction is so natural as opposed to like
mm,
what you see some with other referees who over embellish. Like yours is
mm,
such a natural reaction where it's like,
mm.
yeah, if anyone was in that fucking spot would be like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Would have that
Yeah.
same sort of reaction to it. And I think that the role that you play has been you know you do it really really well. And I think honestly the best refs in Australia would have to be obviously now yourself and Edwin over in MCW, I believe
Yeah.
his name. Yeah, like you
Yeah,
two guys
absolutely.
by far, and even like two of the top refs in the world of wrestling, if you want to look at it from a broader spectacle as well.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for that. I'm terrible with taking compliments, but genuinely thank you. Um, for me, uh, I act in the ring the same way I would act in the crowd. Like I am just a fan at heart. I've always been a fan at heart. That's what I am. So to me, when I see people just going at each other or they in massive chop battles, like if you see me in the crowd watching a show and I'm fully invested into it, I'm doing the same thing I'm doing in the ring. The
Yeah,
difference is, the lights are down in the crowd and I'm wearing a striped shirt with the lights on me. Just want to give a shout out here to Joshua Steny, who's saying that Hannah's number one, and she will be actually number one. A little bit of a sidebar here. When I retire, referee Hannah is actually going to be moving up into the senior official role at PWA, which I'm really excited for. And I know you talking about like myself and Edwin, but recently,
yeah,
over the last year, I feel like Hannah has definitely stepped up. There's been a lot of improvement from her. And when she was one of the first people I told when I decided that I was going to retire, and I said to her, I'm like, you're the one I'm pushing up. You're the one I'm saying you're the senior official because I feel like she's definitely proved that. And
yeah.
for me, like I'd like to say I've taken her under my wing as, someone who's been in the business, and I'm so happy to see, what she's done. And I'm really proud of her for everything that she's done as a referee just so far.
It's amazing because like we feel like for me when I started coming around the show, she was sort of just starting to ref, and
Yeah.
it's like seeing her journey throughout like the past couple of years. It's really cool to see. Like she really has become, like, you can see the confidence she has now as
Yeah.
opposed to like when she first started to, was like,
Yeah.
you see the nervousness when now she just fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's something I really admire about her, is that she's willing to, stand up for herself and do that and push for that and just be, the authority for that. But as you were saying as well, she's not taking away from what's in the ring. She's
Yeah.
being her own person, but she's allowing the wrestling to breathe.
Yeah, like that's one thing. Like I have to say that I really do like about her style is like she doesn't go out of her way to react. Like her
Yeah.
reactions might be more subtle than a lot of others, but
Yeah.
like she's not like, you know what I mean. Like she doesn't embellish it. She keeps it natural. But I think as well, like as they say, the best referees are the ones that go unnoticed, right? Like if you watch a
Absolutely.
great wrestling match, like you think where people go, oh, Austin versus Rock at WrestleMania 17, like no one ever goes, oh man, did you see Charles Robinson hit that 3 count, baby? Like that, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
feel like the referee is like the unsung hero in
Yeah.
wrestling. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
your
Like well, for me, I've always said that being a referee is one of the most underappreciated parts of wrestling. I would like it's referees, it's commentators, and it's the runners. Like a a bad referee everyone knows about. A good referee no one will ever talk about. A bad commentator everybody will, bitch and moan and complain about. A good commentator, at least on the independents, no one really brings up. They talk about your JRs and your Tony Schiavone's, but like no one really brings up Dave Prazak or Lenny Leonard, who are two people who I absolutely love commentating, but because they were never in a major company, no one really knows about them. And, a good runner, like someone who takes all of, the wrestling gear, when they play sit down, someone who, gets messages out and whatnot. A bad one can ruin a show. A good one, no one will ever thank them for that. And I've had some good runners in my day, and it's just one of those things that makes a show 10 times easier. Those are the three that I've always said are underappreciated. And being a referee, it's a lot of thankless nights. It's a lot of long days, long nights doing everything. And at the end, you just get kind of a shitty little, hey, thank you for the show. And maybe you get your money at the end.
That's it. Robbo Entertainment wants to know, does the Academy
Yeah.
train referees?
Yes, we actually do. So, the way that the training works is we do have everyone go through the training as normal. You go through the 3 classes that we have for that, just so you understand the logistics of what wrestling is and whatnot. But I know that we can also train directly for referees as well. We've had a couple of people actually come in being like, hey, I just want to be a referee, or I'm totally I want to learn how to be a referee. And that's something that a lot of us actually have experience in. So not just myself, but Robbie Eagles. For his first, I think, like 2 years, he was like in wrestling. He was refereeing. So he's been helping out a lot of the younger guys for that. And he was also one of the people who helped me out very early on as well. So the academy definitely can train referees. It can train pretty much any aspect of wrestling.
I think that that's probably like the best aspect of it is like now that PWA can offer that it gives people another opportunity that might go, you
Yeah.
know what, I love wrestling, I want to be a part of it. In-ring action might not be my thing, but being a referee, like, hey, like that's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that could be their thing. So
Yeah, and I've always said to a lot of the younger trainees that are coming up, a lot of them are like, oh, I don't really want to be a referee because I don't want to be stuck into that role. But I tell them that the amount of wrestlers that are on the shows now have been referees. Like that boggles your mind. Like Big Fudge was a referee a couple of times. We had Kyle Fletcher, who was a referee. As I said, Robbie before. Ricky South once got kicked in the face by Robbie as a referee and knocked out cold. Pretty sure there's footage of it on Twitter if you can find it. NXT superstar Grayson Waller was a referee. I want to give a shout out to Walter Matthews. That was his referee name. So there's so many wrestlers who were referees, and they only did that for a couple months or maybe a year. And that's what I tell a lot of the trainees now is don't think that if we tell you, hey, we want you to be a referee, that's what you are. We want you to be a referee because we want to put you out in front of a crowd without being the one to be looked at. You get the feeling of being in front of the crowd without being the one that people are staring at and looking at. You get to be that, you get to be, that first fan, as I like to call it. You're there, you get to watch the match, but you're involved in it too, but no one's looking at what you're doing. It's a perfect way of getting over that stage fright that a lot of people have. And I know a lot of people coming into wrestling have. Because I know I had it when I started out. I didn't come into this being, filled with energy. If you ask Diego, who I've actually refereed in my first ever match, he'll tell you I was low. I was very low, but now I'm all over the place. So
yeah, I think it's when people don't understand the performing aspect of when you go in front of a camera or when you go in front of a live crowd, how intense that feeling can be. And I think as well, as you said, putting someone into a referee spot to give them that opportunity in front of a live crowd, and also would probably be just to sort of feel out the ring a little bit more and have that awareness of moving around in the ring and how to sort of you know what I mean, move safely and stuff around the ring and work with other people as well. So
yeah, being a referee, it also involves a lot of communication with a lot of the wrestlers. You have to talk with a lot of them. You have to do a lot of, understanding and working through with a lot of these, wrestlers in these matches. And it's not like you're just doing one match, you're doing 4 or 5. There was one show where I had to do, the entire card. It was 9 matches. So I had to know, I had to know everything about each match. All those 9 matches, I was up on my feet for pretty much nonstop for nearly 3 hours. And sometimes it's just something that you got to do. I might not be taking bumps, but I'm going to be exhausted by the end of the night anyway.
Man, I got to tell you this story that I this is a story that I think you'll like. So I worked on this show for AWE in Menai, right? And the night of the show, it was packed, and they had the young referee who was about a 17-year-old kid named Thomas. Now, Thomas, whose dad was in the crowd. So at the start of the show, I was told as the ring announcer, hey, just go in there, talk a bit in the ring a bit, wait a few minutes, delay an extra couple minutes, whatever. So I'm introducing the photographer, and our referee for this evening is referee Thomas. There was a group of guys in the front that were just on the beers, drinking, and very vocal. So they're popping for Thomas, right?
Yeah.
And they're almost like the cool kids in the playground where everyone else will start sort of acting like, cheering from. So as the show has gone on, the pop for Thomas has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it gets to the point where the main event happens, right? So it's a multi-man main event.
Yeah.
Thomas takes a ref bump and he falls out of the ring. And the whole time, right, every time after the show, after the match, everyone's like, "You're doing great, Thomas." Yeah. Just cheering this kid on. So when he takes a ref bump, the place erupts. Whoa, just shitting on the heels.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of time goes, the crowd is still into it. and then out of nowhere, boom, the arm comes up like that on the ring apron, and it's referee Thomas, and the crowd fucking pop.
Electric.
Mate, everyone in the crowd is just like popping, right? Everyone's like, "What the fuck, Thomas?" And then everything, he gets into the final bit, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and the crowd pops and everyone starts chanting Thomas. And this kid did not, like, when I tell you, he did nothing in the way to try and like draw attention to himself at all. And I told the promoter that, because the promoter asked me, I said, no, this is the situation. But man, like, he just like, that made that kid's light night though, because he was like, oh yeah, I'm wrestling, I want to be a wrestler though, you know, like. But after that, he was just like, oh man, that was the greatest thing in my life. Like, that was unreal.
Yeah. I took nearly like 2 or 3 years before people started chanting for me. This guy got on his first night.
Yeah, he'd reffed a couple of times, but it was like just
okay.
It was just the weirdest situation. Like I'd never seen that from a crowd before. Like, I was just sitting there going like, "Fuck, this is my fault."
Yeah. I love when crowds just latch on to something. Speaking of the Wollongong show on Friday, we had a couple of guys who clearly weren't like regulars and everything. Yeah. And one of them just started like getting up and just started screaming at some of the guys, just being like, "Oi, show us your socks." And we're like, "What? Did he just?" And then they all join in on it too. And then this was like during I think it was the second match or something, but the next match was Ricky South versus Michael Spencer, and they just start screaming for it. And then Spencer tries to take Ricky's boot off to try and show him his socks, because Ricky's being like, "No, I'm not going to show you it." And then at the end of the match, Ricky wins and he starts undoing his boot, and I'm like, "Oh no, he gets the boot off." I've never heard a crowd pop that loudly. Like, it wasn't a massive crowd, but it sounded like there was 10,000 people there from the moment he took his boot off and showed the sock, because they were just obsessed with it.
But were these guys like being a nuisance at the show, or were they just like
excited? It was like you know, it kind of seemed like it was leaning towards like nuisance, but they were so into everything that it was like, you know what, they're having fun with it, let's go. Like, they're making noise. The rest of the crowd's going to make some noise too. You know, fuck it. Let's fuel it. It's a fun show. It's, you know, the camera's not on. Let's have some fun. Let's have some banter with these guys. And, you know, they were all cool. They never want, you know, I always worry about stuff like that, where like, you know, are they going to try and egg up? Are they going to try and get into the ring? But they weren't like that. And I'm glad that they weren't like that. They were on the beers, but they were, you know, respectfully on the beers.
Yeah, like, I feel like those are the coolest crowds to be in front of. Like, where people get that excited and like you can have banter with them and stuff. But I think there's always a fine line. Like, I've been at like working on some shows where I've sat there and gone like, all right, is this going to start to be an issue? Like, is this person's creeping close to the ring, or like whatever it may be? But I think you just got to have faith in security of the venues a lot of times, you know?
Oh yeah. Like that, you know, you hope that a lot of people aren't going to be like that. And I'm glad that nowadays anyway, it doesn't seem like that happens. I remember, I want to say it was it was either my first or second year. It was up in Newey. It was Juan Direction versus Ricky South, Big Fudge, and Concrete Davidson. So it's a 6-man tag, including the 4th Juan member who's on the outside and me in the ring. That's 8 people involved in this match. And so some guy jumps the barricade and gets in the ring. And the best part was, it was at the moment that Fudge tagged Concrete in. So he tags him in, and this guy slides in, and Concrete, you can see if there's still footage of it. He goes for like a clothesline, and as he's going for it, he's like, "Wait a minute, this isn't one of the Juan members." And it's just like, oh shit. So then all of us are just like, what the fuck, get the fucking guy out of here. And it was like, it's the only time that's ever happened to me while I've been a referee. But like, that experience is so chaotic. It's so weird. Just like having someone rush the ring.
I feel like if you're the sort of person who goes to a wrestling show and thinks it's okay to go and jump in the ring or try and
Yeah.
assault one of the like wrestlers
Yeah.
or performers of that show, then you probably shouldn't be watching wrestling. You don't have
You
the mental
shouldn't be there.
capacity
No.
for, you know what I mean? Like you don't understand what you were seeing. And I
Yeah,
think,
there's
you know what
absolutely
I
no
mean?
reason that you should be there.
Because you look at a lot of the like people that have done it, you know, on like a large scale, and it's like it's the same with streakers. It's like okay, like why you just want attention? Like okay, good for you. Like now, fuck off. You know,
Like,
like that.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah, but I think for a lot of the times, for the people that do like who go to wrestling shows and do that sort of stuff, like you see them and it's like, oh, they're not really mentally with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't think a sane person would go and do that shit.
You would hope a sane person wouldn't go and do that shit. Like,
Well, I mean, well, put it this
look,
way, would it like a sane person wouldn't jump up on a fucking Broadway stage or a fucking
yeah,
dance,
like,
you know,
absolutely. Like, people
right?
people think that wrestling is different, and it's not. It so isn't. It's still this performance. It's still, something that's happening on a stage. It's just that our stage is, a ring with four sides, three ropes. It's just different. It's a different type of performance that's happening. And the fact that people don't treat it the same way, or at least treat it with the same amount of respect, is something that it always annoys me. They think of it as different. They're like, oh, wrestling's fucking bullshit. No, why do you believe that stuff? And it's like, and then they go and they get so invested in things like Game of Thrones and whatnot. And it's like, isn't that, the same thing? You're getting invested, you're getting a tattoo of it on you. You love this thing. Why can't I do that for wrestling?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, as well, I think wrestling, you know, for a lot of people as well, like there's certain things where, like, I think people can break away from the fact that Robert De Niro plays a character, that
Yeah,
fucking, you know, Bradley Cooper plays a character. But then
yeah,
when it comes to like John Cena, or you know, what I mean,
yeah,
like a professional wrestler, for example,
yeah,
like if it was like say James Storm, for example,
yeah,
he's not really a fucking cowboy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like Bret Hitman Hart isn't really a fucking hitman, but like there's
yeah,
some people that truly fucking that can't disconnect from that reality, and I
yeah,
think as well, like you know, because I always think that there's so many different ways that like I think wrestling plays on people's emotions, and I
mm,
think in 2022, there's so much that wrestling could do storyline wise that could
yeah,
push the envelope and tell a compelling story, which
yeah,
might, you know what I mean? Like, which would be like almost like someone's canceled type behavior, but not going to that point. But then having like a good versus evil where it's like someone who is defending against this person. But you know what I mean? Like then, but people would then look at that performer as, oh no, that person is got hateful or thinks X, Y, Z. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Where they should think A, B, C. And I
yeah,
think for, you know what I mean? Like they can't disconnect from that. They look at the performer as the one who is actually like that
yeah,
as opposed to a character.
yeah. I feel like a lot of people I think in the broader scope, see the character on screen and think that's the same person behind the scenes. And for a lot of people, it's not who they are. Like, I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of wrestlers, both within Sydney, but also Australia and internationally as well. And the
Yeah.
people that they are in the ring are so different to the people that they are backstage. Like, I have talked numerous times about, how Victoria was one of the loveliest people we've ever had come out. Chelsea Green has always been lovely when she's come out as well. X Pac, when I met him, he was, just the coolest. He was so chill. Uh, Always like someone like Bandito, who is this guy that you think is just this fucking crazy dude who just does all this stuff. And then talking with him, he just talks, just like a
So
bro.
chill.
He's like, hey man, we're gonna do all this, we're gonna do some bullshit. And it's just like this man's the coolest guy in the entire fucking world. He can do whatever the hell he wants, and that's what he's doing right now. I mean, like, look at the stuff he's been doing just in the ring. Like, it's insane.
Oh,
So he can do whatever he can say whatever he wants.
100%. And you know, the one thing I find like hilarious because like I talk to a lot of people in the world of wrestling as well, and it's like I always find like it funny that the best heels in wrestling are usually the nicest fucking human beings on planet Earth.
Yeah, like I love that. I love, the bad guy on screen who has the heart of gold in real life. Like I adore that. And I'm glad that I know a few people like that. So just to, have evidence that that's a real thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I because it's like that's the because I think as well, like you get preconceived ideas. I think like
Mm,
before I got more in a like involved with wrestling, I always like
mm,
thought, oh, this person would be like this, blah blah blah. Like, and even when I've done interviews, like without really knowing a person beforehand, but like seeing like the
mm.
character that they portray, like,
Yeah.
and this is probably bad. Like, I don't do it anymore, but what I used to do is sit there
Yeah.
and go, oh, what if they're exactly like this character? Because what they say,
Yeah.
the best characters are the person turned all the way up. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like now I sort of like understand and go, all right, no, this is, you know what I mean? Like I figured that out pretty early on.
Yeah, like it's hard to kind of wrap your head around sometimes where you're just like, oh, are they like that and everything? But then you go, no, you know what? They're a human being. They're just like you and me. And I'm glad that that's like that. I'm glad that that's you know, what it is. Because if people were who their characters were, for a lot of them, I probably would never talk to them, like outside of it. Because Jesus Christ, the amount of times that I've met people where I'm just like, your character, I want to hit across the face, but I know you as a human being, you are a genuinely nice person.
Have you ever had like anyone that's been difficult to work with?
Yeah, there's been a few here and there. I've been really fortunate that uh I myself am very easy to work with.
Yeah,
So a lot of people have been easy to work with for me, but there's been some people where it's just like pulling teeth just to
yeah,
get something from them. And it's just like I need to know like so little information compared to your opponent. Just give me just at least eye contact, give me the information that we need, like that I need, and then we don't have to interact again. That's all I need. And it's
yeah.
just like sometimes I don't want to deal with it. And those are some of the tougher days when I know those are coming up. When I know there's, maybe one or two people. And I'm glad that, nowadays it's not like that at all. uh, it's been a lot easier to work with the people at PWA because I talk to them all the time. Everyone
Yeah.
knows how kind of everyone works, and they know how I work when it comes to refereeing. They give me that trust. But in the early days, it was just, it was really, really rough for me, especially as a rookie ref.
I can imagine, man. It's like because I find that as like when I'm doing commentary or announcing, it's like
Yeah.
going and talking to people and it's like finding the right time. Like when I first started doing it, like
Mm.
I would just be like, okay, just go and stand in a corner and just you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like and then, like try and get people's information. And to where now it's like more like comfortable and confident
Yeah.
just to come up and go, hey, when you got a sec, can you come and talk to me? Cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it takes. And it's like
Yeah.
but I think can see like why when people are new coming into the business in those sort of roles, why
Mm.
they can be a little bit more hesitant to go and start
Yeah.
engaging,
Yeah, like, because when I was starting, like, my first show I did, I was 18 years old. So a lot of those times I was still a teenager. I was barely out of high school. I, I was barely working full time, and I was just still a kid pretty much. So
Yeah.
having to be in an adult environment with a lot of people who have those like life experiences pretty much, and I'm coming into this being like, hi guys, I'm gonna count the three today, and they're like, who the fuck is this guy? So it's really good to know that nowadays not only do people show me, a little bit more respect because I have earned that. I have put in my time,
For
I've put
sure.
in my effort, and they've seen that, and I am glad that I've been able to get that. But it's also my role as well to help the newer referees, people like Hannah and one of our newer referees, Ben, as well, to get that early on because I know how hard it is. So I just try to help them out and I try to talk with a lot of the guys, just letting them know, talking with them, just being like, when Hannah was starting out and more recently with Ben, just being like, look, the newer guys, don't expect them to be like me. If something's going, if something needs to happen with the referee, just explain it to them, maybe run it through. Because with me, you can tell me once and I go, yep, too easy. But with everyone else, you might need a little bit more depending on, who it is or where they're at.
Well, that's
So
the
that's,
experience level, right? Because that
yeah,
comes down to been doing this for 6
yeah.
years, these guys, and you're
Yeah,
doing it for
like
pretty
Hannah's
short.
only been doing it for about like 2, 3 if you count 2020, which but Ben's been doing it for less than a year. And I'm not expecting like either of them to be God's gift to refereeing. I'm not expecting them to be a Charles Robinson or a Bryce Rensburg. I'm what I want from them is I want them to be the best that they can be, but also be comfortable in what they're doing. And for me right now, it's a learning experience because I've never had to be a mentor before for these people, and now I've kind of I've stumbled my way into this, but it's something that I'm really proud of to see with Hannah and slowly blossoming with Ben, and hopefully down the track because I am going to be sticking around with PWA. Even without being, on screen as a referee, I still want to be that person for the referees in the future coming through PWA.
Are you going to be part of like the training for referees, like at the academy
Yeah.
as well? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know, as I said, Robbie was helping out with a lot of that stuff. But for me, while I might not be, the best to train people when it comes to how to take a bump, how to give a DDT, how to give a body slam, I'm very good at, all right, what do you need to know as a referee? Where should you be standing? What should you be doing in this scenario? And for me, doing the amount of matches that I've done, both at the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, I figured that I know enough about that I can at least teach the next generation of referees to learn from my mistakes and be better than I ever could and put in that time and put in that effort. And whether they want to still be a referee after a year or so, and they're like, what, I'm actually really happy with this is something that I want to do, or they go, what, I'm going to take these experiences that I've had with refereeing, learning about all of this, and I'm going to use that as a wrestler. I'm going to use these experiences because it's a different mindset
Mm.
when you're doing that. It's a whole different kind of, it's a different viewpoint, like completely. So you get a different style from that as well because you're looking at it so directly, so like just so close. You're less than a meter away from all this action that's happening. And so many fans are never going to experience that the way that I've been able to experience a lot of these matches that I've been able to referee over 6 years.
Do you think you're going to like miss it once you step away?
Probably. I've accepted that. Like,
Yeah.
it's a given. I'm probably going to be like the first show afterwards. I'm going to look at that and just be like, fuck, I wish I was in there. I wish I was wearing the stripes. But that's something that I'm going to have to live with. That's something that I've made the choice of. So I know that I don't just want to go and take that back. You know, little inside scoop here. I was originally actually going to come out of retirement to do the New Japan show that's happening on the 12th of November, I want to say. The one that's happening up in Sydney. Yeah, on the 13th, sorry, 13th of November. So I was originally actually supposed to be refereeing that because I cashed in a favor because I'm like, it's my birthday 2 days later. Let me have this one. But I decided that I wanted to kind of take a break from like wrestling as a whole. So I'm taking a bit of a step back, maybe for a couple of shows, just to be not to be referee Nick, just to be Nick Gavi, be my
Yeah,
own person for a
sure.
bit. And, once I come back to PWA, and I'm not going to be gone for like, years and whatnot, I'm talking a couple months, I'll slowly, work my way back up. I'll start, helping out, backstage where it needs to. As I said, as a runner, I'll do that. Maybe help out at merch, just be a guy around, just to be that friendly face that used to be there, because that's something that I love to do. I have so many friends at PWA. There's so many people I love talking to there, and it's not something I want to give up anytime soon.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like a family atmosphere there for sure. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like that's why I think like it would be such a hard decision just to go, you know what, I'm gonna step away from this. Because you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like it's so much fun and everything like that. But I think it also
yeah,
comes into, as you said, your personal growth.
yeah. Like that's the biggest thing for me is as as my role in PWA, I was very comfortable with where I was. I'm pretty sure that if I didn't choose to retire, October 21st, 2022, PWA, let's fucking go at the Roundhouse, the 21st, sorry, um, I probably have a job for life. That's what it
Yeah,
is. I would have just had that because Graham Young, also known as Fozzy, who retired at the end of 2019, he was around for nearly 20 years just doing that. And that's something that I could have just done. I could have
yeah.
just been that. But for me is I am very much an ambitious person. I'm very much someone who wants to do what's right for himself, or at least what he thinks is right. And for me, the right thing to do is to take a gamble on myself and see if there is anything else for me in the world of wrestling besides wearing the zebra stripes.
Do you feel like being the referee Nick, and said that you get to now be Nick Gavi, like is that like you feel like your like identity was sort of almost taken, where it's like it's referee Nick and that's what you were known as referee Nick?
For the first like year or so, because I kind of got the name referee Nick pretty quickly. Like it was within maybe the first year that I was in, and then it just stuck. And I thought it was kind of cutesy, but at some point it was always like, is this what I want to be for the rest of my life? Like, is my first name gonna be referee for my whole career, or do I want to be me?
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of like was thinking about as well. It's like, do I just want to be a referee first for the whole time, or do I want to be my own person? And it's something that I've struggled with a lot growing up, but now it's something that I'm very comfortable with at least trying to do. And I wouldn't have been able to do this, hell, even like a year ago. So the fact that I get to do that now is, it's something I'm really proud of.
When you were growing up, what was so like what were you questioning about your identity that you weren't sure of?
Well, like growing up, you always kind of are, as a kid, you're kind of just, seeing what you like, what you don't like, and everything. And you're just kind of all over the place. And I was kind of moving from school to school a lot. I was getting in trouble a lot. When I was 14, because I was originally living in Adelaide up until I was 14. So I was living with my mum. And then I moved to Sydney and lived with my dad from 2012 onwards. So there was a lot of different changes and everything. So I was always having to kind of figure out who I was pretty much. And then when I moved out, I was kind of jumping from job to job, and the only constant I had was wrestling. But now I'm in a very good position, both the most emotionally and financially. Like
Mm.
I've recently got a promotion at work. As I said, I've taken a gamble on myself with this, and PWA management has been super, happy and helpful with everything. I let them know, months in advance about that, and they've expressed their gratitude for the fact that I did let them know. I didn't just drop it on them a week before. I told them about this months in advance, and they were like, "Thank you so much for letting me know on this, so we can get things sorted for when you do go." And seeing all of these changes over the time, it allows me to kind of just be, content with where I am. And I think that's a good thing because that's not something I've had, in my life. So being content with where I am right now is good. It's something that I'm really proud of that I've been able to work towards.
Yeah. I mean, like being content and being able to enjoy the moment. And like, I think it's good to have ambition. It's good to have like a
Mhm.
drive, but you have to be
Yeah.
able to like stop and smell the roses. And that's something
Yeah.
like I've had to sort of step back and really learn how to do myself is like, holy shit. Okay. Like look what I've been able to achieve here and here, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. It's not just, okay, I've done that. Now it's the next thing.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I kind of struggled with just within wrestling is, I was always looking for that next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I never got to appreciate what I was doing at the time. And it's really only now that I've been able to appreciate that. Because for me, the things that I appreciate, at least on show days anyway, the things that I appreciate the most are the fact that I get to do something that I love with the people that I love in an environment that is so it just makes me happy to be in because of just the people I'm surrounded by, the morale that's around, the amount of people that I get to sit backstage with, talk some shit with,
Yeah.
and know that, this is a friend that without wrestling I would have never met. Like that's something that I hold special in my heart.
100%, man. And I love the fit. Like I love going and hanging out like before and after shows. And it's just like
Yeah.
the vibe that you get from people is like, you know what I mean? Like you and me always sort of like tend to gravitate to each other and always have like
Yeah.
long conversations. Like you, me, Nick, Ray, and I think Chuck Reese Angel in from now time and again.
Yeah.
Uh, like just you know what I mean? Like it's such a welcoming environment, but it's such an awesome thing where it's like, okay, cool. I know I'm gonna go to that show. I know I'm gonna catch up with Nick. I'm gonna, blah blah blah. Speak to Gail Rose, all this sort of stuff. And it's like it's such a positive environment as well because it's like
Yeah.
you don't sense any like toxicity from people or drama
Yeah.
or bullshit.
Yeah, like that's one of the things that I really appreciate with the people that I've been lucky enough to surround myself with. And I think one of the things I've really been pushing for, at least in myself anyway, is talking with and just becoming friends with a lot of the newer trainees and the rookies that are coming up because I know that there is that disconnect between the people that are wrestling on the shows and people who are a part of that and the people who are just just starting out and training and everything. So for me, I want to become friends with, and I want to just at least had that conversation with a lot of the newer people to make them feel welcome and just feel like they had someone here who is at a level that they would want to be at,
For
who's
sure.
approaching them and talking to them because I like being that first person that they meet that's like a somebody. As much as I'm kind of sucking my own dick here, I am like,
Yeah,
you know,
I was gonna sit
yeah.
there and go, all right, man, come on now.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
But
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
but, like but,
That's
like,
enough.
I'm glad that I'm, that person for a lot of these, like, rookies because I know how hard it was. I went through the same thing, and I wish I had someone there like myself to just be like, "Hey, this is X, Y, and Z. This is what you should be doing. This is how you kind of talk to people, but be your own person, be your own man, be your own woman, be
Yeah.
who you are."
Yeah, because I think as well, like you go into any environment where like it's already an established place, like already
Mm,
people known each other for a long time. Like I think some people probably get intimidated by that because it's like almost like they feel like they're going back to school, like the first day of school and not
yeah,
knowing anybody. Um,
yeah,
but in reality, it's all you got to do is just go in there and go, "Hey, my name is such and such. Nice to meet you." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
want to
Like
wrestle?
It's so scary for a lot of people, and I know that. Like just on Friday, I was, I've met a couple of them before, but with one of the new trainees that have come in, I really bonded with them, and it was really really good to see that someone who was so new to at least the PWA community that we have was so willing and open to just kind of talk and chat and just be that person, because I know a lot of people kind of like hold that in and they're very worried about that, but to see someone who is so open and so willing to talk about all this stuff, both wrestling and personal, and doing all of this, that's something that I truly admire. uh and seeing and hopefully I get to see that with a lot more rookies coming through. And even if it's not there from the get-go, I'd love to be someone to help them out and, find their, confidence in that, and find someone, find who they are within wrestling.
Yeah, be like a sounding board for them, essentially. Like someone who can
Yeah.
give them ideas and bounce ideas
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know one of the rookies that we have, Hogan, has been like talking to me about this stuff, because we always banter and we always talk, and I love giving him terrible gimmick ideas. It's my favorite thing to do. But like just on Friday, he was just like, "Hey, I have an idea," and he was talking to me. But as much as we kind of banter about that stuff, it was very much something that he was coming to me for because he wanted my opinion on it. And it was like, that's something that really meant a lot to me, because it shows that even though I've only known this person for X amount of time, they're comfortable enough to come to me. And that's something that I want to do. Is I want to be that person that they come to talk about this stuff, because
Yeah.
again, I've been surrounded by it, but I'm also not a scary senior person in PWA. I was the referee. I just happen to have connections with people. So
Yeah.
I love to be that middle ground between everyone.
I think that's a good spot to be in as well. You know what I mean? Like helping people transition in and just sort of making them feel welcome and part of that family. You know,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Because, like you said, it can be to some people, can be a little bit intimidated or scared or whatever it'll be.
Yeah, and it really is scary to do that and to come into wrestling, and just having someone there to help out where needed to is always appreciative for someone like me who had to deal with that.
Yeah, hundred
Yeah,
percent. It's a way to be, man. You got to be missed on shows, though, bro.
yeah.
Like I think that a lot of the fans, have voiced a lot of their sorrow that you're going to be leaving, man.
Yeah, and it makes me feel really happy that, I wasn't just some guy. I wasn't just the referee, that I meant something to people. And it's something that as I said, I kind of struggled with a lot of, my self-esteem issues and whatnot, but to see people be so open and happy that, I got to be a part of this, and they're sad to see me go. It makes me feel really good that, I an 18-year-old decided, you know what, screw it. Let's see if I can count to three sometimes. So,
Mate, that's awesome. But it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 seconds with Pierce. How this is going to work, I'm going to fire a bunch of questions at Nick. He's got 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. Nick, are you ready to get this ball rolling?
you bet your ass I am.
All right. Favorite song to sing at karaoke?
Rolling by Limp Bizkit. That's not even a question.
Home barbecues or nightclub?
Oh, can I say both?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
What is the last book you read?
I want to say Death of WCW 10th Anniversary. I've read that book like 4 times.
What is something you enjoy that you are embarrassed to admit that you like?
Oh, there is nothing I'm embarrassed to admit that I like. I have openly said that I am a Swiftie. I love Ariana Grande. I fuck with Doja Cat, shit like that. I adore sappy love stories. So there is nothing I'm embarrassed about.
Which celebrity would play you in a movie about your life?
Danny DeVito, that's not a question.
What was the shittest gift you have ever received?
I received secondhand Legos from my friend when I was 8 years old.
Snapchat or TikTok?
TikTok. I haven't even logged into my Snapchat since I got a new phone.
Which Chris is hotter, Hemsworth, Evans, or Pratt?
Hemsworth. Wait, Hemsworth.
Last one. In 5 minutes' time, you are being shipped to outer space. What two personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
I want to take my phone and I want to download a bunch of games beforehand so I have something to do. And then I'll probably take a book as well. Don't ask me what book. I will not decide by the time it leaves.
That has been 60 Seconds with Piers. Nick, thank you for joining me, man. It's been a great chat with you, bro, as always. Got to get you back on more often, man. It's always great having a chat to you and just literally
anytime, my man. Dude, honestly, I love talking to you. As you said, on show days, I love talking to you. When the camera's on, I love talking to you. So it's always good to have a sit down and chat with Piers.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you go and follow Referee Nick on all social media. Let's support him. Make sure you turn out and turn up this Friday at the UNSW Roundhouse for Let's Fucking Go PWA show. There's going to be some fucking cage match shit. There's going to be a title match. Someone's going to fucking die. Not literally, but like, yeah, it's going to be
Look, I know how heated towns are. Who's going to be playing at Let's Fucking Go are at Lyrebird Lucci. So there is a chance that towns may kill Lyrebird Lucci. So...
Hey, we may see a motherfucker getting killed, so let's turn up, let's check it out. But worst comes to worst, you're going to see some of the very best professional wrestling, not just in Australia, but in the world. So if you're in New South Wales, you're in Sydney, hell, you're in Australia, get a fucking flight, come down and check it out. There's plenty of room. We'll see you soon. Take care. All the best. Nick, I appreciate you, pal. We'll see you soon. Peace.